eyes haunted and lips whispering nightmares. Brida smiled at the travelers by the well. She could hardly imagine how terrible things must have been to make them leave their homeland with nothing but the packs they could carry. Perhaps they'd find comfort in sharing their experiences, though they didn't return her smile and simply huddled closer together. But before she could welcome them and explain the day of remembering, a burst of familiar laughter from behind the trees sent her skimming past. Dev, the butcher's boy. She was in no mood for his trouble, especially when the voices' stories awaited her. When she glanced over her shoulder, the travelers had already turned away. Maybe she and Mother Magdy could look out for them later. Dodging past the blacksmith's yard, she hurried down Trade Row, where the craftspeople and shopkeepers lived. Oak Hollow was a small, circular village of stone cottages springing like thatched-roof toadstools from the rich earth. But it boasted some of the best crafters in the region. Their wooden signs swung proudly in the wind, a stack of painted bowls for Goodman Potter, baskets for Goody Whiffy and her widowed sister, and a needle and thread for Goody Thimblewicket and her son, who sewed clothing so fine it was sent to manor houses for lords and ladies far outside the valley in wealthy cities across Fenwood Reach. Brida glanced in the empty shop windows as she passed. Everyone had already headed to the crossroads. She'd heard that in years past, blue streamers and white banners would have fluttered from roof to roof, with garlands of ivy, wild rose, and wisdom flower hanging over every door and window to celebrate this day. She wished she could have seen the traditional decorations before the Queen's edicts outlawed them. But even so, Brida glimpsed scraps of festive blue silk tied to a gate here and there. And as she approached a small knot of people, she noticed stems of ivy slipped in the goodman's pockets or rosebuds bound in the goodwife's braids. Blue ribbon peeked beneath kerchiefs and vests, pinned in brave defiance of Queen's law. Brida dragged her steps, letting the group round the corner ahead. She wasn't hiding, precisely, but she wasn't all that eager to draw attention to herself either. Wishing she'd thought to wear her cloak, despite the warmth of the day, she pinched the hem of her tunic and hoped she could reach the crossroads without anyone deciding they needed to tell Mother Magdy where she'd been. Trade Row ended across from Goodman Hooper's workshop, barrels stacked beside his doorway. Here, the town green spread like a mother's apron. Brida and Magdy often came to the weekly market to exchange fruit, vegetables, goat's milk or cheese, and magical remedies for things they needed. But today, the grassy square was empty and silent. The inn across the way was doing a brisk business, though, and laughter spilled from the open doorway. "Tell us another, and I'll buy you a pitcher of ale," someone roared cheerfully. Voices rose and fell in the ebb and flow of conversation. The day of remembering was a day for stories. Small ones, secret ones, sad ones, spooky ones, true ones. Brida's heart swooped like a chimney swift, and she hurried past the inn toward the bakery. The air held a warm cloud of sugar, spice, yeast, and cream, and she couldn't resist following a young couple through the door. Despite the Queen's prohibitions, Brida had heard that the baker still observed the old traditions. On the day of remembering, he gave away story cakes free to anyone with a tale to tell. Brida wasn't sure what story she could offer, but her stomach rumbled and her mouth watered. She'd begged Mother Magdy to let her taste a story cake for ages. And there they were, a row of golden, flaky triangles steaming on a wooden tray beside the baker's elbow. The young woman ahead of her at the counter. Could it be Lilibet? No, wait, it must be Nan, who spun the smoothest, finest woolen yarn.